Welcome to the Pot.Live Insider. I am your host, Luke Rowan, and I will be your guide as we dig in together and learn about what's going on in the cannabis industry. We are going to have some fun here as we learn about the business of cannabis, the science, the culture, where it has come from, and where it's going. I'm going to wade out into the waters and scoop up bucketfuls of information and bring it back here to break it down with you and take you along with me as I learn. If you want bite-sized information about cannabis on a variety of topics so you can impress your coworkers or the stranger sitting a bit too close to you on the bus, then the Pot.Live Insider episodes are for you. Let's get this thing started. Let's go inside. Welcome to the Pot.Live Insider. I am Luke Rowan and I am your host, and today we're going to go inside and see if weed can make you smarter. So there are all sorts of myths surrounding marijuana and its use. For example, anti-weed propaganda claims that everyone who smokes cannabis becomes a pothead. In reality, only 20% of people who try marijuana in a calendar year use it regularly. There are many other myths as well, like it makes you lazy and unsuccessful. As much as we would love to tackle every absurd myth about weed in detail, doing so would take way too long, and instead, let's do a little counterattack on the nonsense that weed makes you stupid. So the myth. Well, we can't lay all the blame at the door of Duke University. The flaw-riddled study it published in 2012 has helped keep the weed makes you dumb myth alive. The study was titled Persistent Cannabis Users Show Neuropsychological Decline from Childhood to Midlife. It focused on cannabis use over 1,000 people who were tracked from birth to the age of 38. The researchers ascertained weed use in 5 interviews which took place when the patients were 18, 21, 26, 32, and 38 years of age. Without going into too much detail, the studies reached the following conclusions about marijuana. It led to poorer grades. It decreased a person's ability to retain information. It led to a decline in cognitive abilities and IQ, and it led to addiction. The anti-cannabis brigade jumped on this data like trolls on a meme bearing fake information. The studies failed to take into account a variety of significant factors, including socioeconomic status, tobacco and alcohol use, and history of mental illness. So what's the reality of this? While no one is suggesting that weed turns a dullard into Einstein, it most certainly doesn't do the opposite. A study led by Robert Tate at the Australian National University was published in 2011 and analyzed the long-term cognitive effects of weed use in almost 20,000 people between 20 and 24 years of age. Participants were placed into different groups, including abstainers, current light users, and former heavy users. During the next 8 years, the subjects completed a variety of standard cognitive tests, many of which focus on verbal memory, working memory, and intelligence. Unlike the other study, researchers controlled for numerous variables, including gender and education. After these statistical adjustments, the study showed no significant between-group differences. Basically, smoking cannabis had no traceable impact on cognitive performance except short-term verbal memory tests, where current heavy users performed poorly. Reduced performance on a short-term test makes sense, especially when you take into account what Harvard University found in 2001. The study involved 180 people whose marijuana use ranged from light to heavy. For the record, heavy use meant smoking at least 5,000 times. Every subject completed a range of attention, intelligence, learning, and memory tests on day 0, 1, 7, and 28 after quitting cannabis. Although heavy users scored relatively poor in the beginning, by day 28, There were no significant differences among any of the groups in the 10 different tests. But does marijuana make you smarter? This is more difficult to determine, but there are studies which suggest the answer is yes, at least in certain ways. A paper published by the University College London in 2010 looked at semantic priming and marijuana usage. The term is used to describe how activating one word enables us to react faster to related words. For example, the word dog could lead to faster reaction times for pet, but not for an unrelated word such as table. The researchers found that cannabis leads to hyperpriming, where semantic priming's reach expands beyond normal parameters. For instance, when you hear dog, you will think of words such as hair or leash, which seem disconnected when in a sober state. This helps explain why certain marijuana strains are used by creative people, as it helps the brain make remote connections that lead to unusual yet awesome ideas. It also explains why so much of the greatest music ever made was created by people who were high. An interesting study by the Salk Institute for Biological Studies was published in June 2016 and found that cannabis may actually make you smarter. According to the study, cannabinoids such as THC block the inflammatory response and stimulate the removal of intraneuronal amyloid beta, and that is a protein linked with Alzheimer's. Research discovered that the THC in cannabis reduced inflammation levels and ensured the brain cells stayed alive. In basic terms, THC protected the cell and gave it the opportunity to heal itself. The problem with this study is that the Salk Institute was working with cell cultures, so that there's no way of knowing if the same phenomenon would occur when using humans. Other important considerations include THC concentration and even the method of using the cannabis. Nonetheless, it is exciting finding because it gives a glimmer of hope to patients with Alzheimer's and their families. As much as we would like to say that cannabis is brain candy, there isn't enough evidence available to make that conclusion. Preliminary findings are encouraging, and we hope that scientists are given even greater license to investigate the long-term effects of cannabis on the human brain. But what we do know is that cannabis will not make you dumber. So there are big changes coming in the thinking of the usefulness of cannabis and the effects it has on the body, and I hope this has helped you to shine a little bit of light into those dark corners. And this information has been harvested from thepot.com. The link will be in the show notes so you can dig in further. And that is it for me, and I will talk to you next time on the Pot.Live Insider.
If you are into the recreational side of the cannabis industry, yes, stoners, I'm talking to you, then thepot.com is the online and mobile destination for you. That's right, THEPOT.com, thepot.com. Where else can you find the exclusive Pot Mate of the Month? Take a pot quiz and win prizes. Scroll through hilarious memes and jokes and check out the latest podcasts, news, and trends, all while having your own profile and voice in the Pot.com forum. Visit thepot.com today and get lit.